What's up, guys? This is the first edition of the Retro Rampage podcast. I'm Aaron Lipscomb, and this is Riverman from BTM Review. And this is something that we've wanted to do for a while, and we know it's really popular nowadays, the whole retro revival and things like that. And so we're not going to do anything that's necessarily new. And I don't think River or myself are claiming at all to be as knowledgeable as, Pat Contry, the NES Punk, or any of these people on YouTube who we're all a fan of too. But we're, a couple of guys that grew up with the games. We're real passionate about it. And, I can sure attest that we didn't jump on this bandwagon. I have been pretty much a sole retro player. Even through the PS2 days, I never even got into it. I've been playing nothing but my retro stuff for as long as I can remember. I mean, I play new games too, but this is where my heart belongs. And in the spirit of some of these shows, we got to give props, River, to some of these shows like the Game Chasers and Pat the NES Punk and obviously the Angry Video Game Nerd and things like that, and GameSack and all these YouTube channels. They've definitely inspired us to get in the mix a little bit and just talk some games.
Inspire you, and then they also revive your motivation to find these retro games because I'm like I was a big retro game collector, then I kind of got out of it, and then I kind of started watching some of these YouTube channels again, and it kind of got me back into it because I've been a big movie collector also, so I'm kind of jumping back into the games.
Yeah, and it took us forever to come up with the name Retro Rampage because, like I said, we're not doing anything that's new here. Any name that you could possibly think of has been taken, and not just taken, but also tweaked and revised and also taken. So, I mean, just coming up with, and I'm surprised Retro Rampage hadn't been taken, but we want to get a little more clever than that, but it's really tough to stay in the confines of, hey, we want to talk about some retro games, but at the same time, we can't get too cliche because, of course, everybody and their mom's already doing something like this. But, I don't know. Actually, the topic at hand that made me want to start doing this was the idea of this new retro magazine. River, have you been reading about this?
I have, and I've seen the whole Kickstarter program for it, and I heard rumblings on other podcasts, and I never really looked at it, but I've recently looked at it, and I'm on board. I'm really excited about this.
It's a fantastic idea. Basically, to put it simply, Retro Magazine, there was a Kickstarter campaign, and I believe it's fully funded. Are they still accepting funding?
I don't think so. It looks like they got over $75,000.
Which is insane. And, I look at a company like this, and I see a bunch of gamers that are passionate. I don't really see as, hey, let's start this so we can make a buttload of money. Obviously, they're not going to make a buttload of money because, print is all but dead. And so I see a bunch of guys that are really passionate about it, and it gets me excited about it, and it makes me want to subscribe too. And because I miss print. We grew up in the days of EGM and, of course, Nintendo Power and Tips and Tricks. Game Pro. I used to, Nintendo Power, sorry, rest in peace. That ended, I think, last year. But I used to go to the local mom and pop brick and mortar stores, or the grocery stores and things like that. And just so I could cheat and look in the Tips and Tricks magazine, never buy it because I was a broke kid.
Bring your pen and pencil.
Yeah, exactly. Or the pen, draw it on your hand. I used to do that all the time. I'd get the opportunity to rent Primal Rage on the Sega Genesis or Mortal Kombat 2 or 3, and from the local grocery store of all things, and I'd have to spend half the time owning the game walking 3 miles to a grocery store so I can write down, how you unlock smoke, or whatever. And in the era of the internet, that excitement's gone because it was a lot of work, and it's kind of cool that everything is right at our fingertips. I played Super Metroid recently, and it had been a long time since I played that, and I got lost. It's a giant maze. It's a giant non-ending maze. It's one continuous level, as most of you guys know. And, I got stuck. So, I went on Google and I typed it up, and I went on like IGN or what have you and looked up a guide, or even YouTube, man, comes in handy, and figured out how to get out of that tight spot because, I'm the first to admit, I'm older. We're all probably older, and I don't really have time anymore to get stuck in one fucking spot for days because I'll never beat the game.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, like, I remember back in the days when I was, like, the one kid on the playground who knew Abacab or something like that, and everybody wanted to know, like, secret moves for, fighters in Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and, like, it wasn't at your fingertips like you're saying, and just the fact of knowing it, just gave you power.
Yeah, and there was some tips and strategy that you were only gonna know by dumping your quarters at the arcade and putting into practice there. People would go to the arcade and stand in the lines for Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat and literally dump quarters in there, learning how to do, a Sub-Zero spinal rip fatality. Like, you had to learn that stuff. Mm-hmm. Or you'd hear it like hearsay from the playground from this guy or that guy, or this is how you do it. And you would have to, it was all about trial and error. You couldn't go on YouTube and watch the video. If you wanted to see it, like most, you didn't even know what it looked like. It's like, well, I heard, Scorpion sets that guy on fire. Like, I want to see it, man. Nowadays, I can just go on YouTube and, Google Scorpion fatality. But back then, you had to witness it and execute it to see it. So it was a different time and place, and that, most kids today aren't going to be able to experience. But I'm just saying, with the whole Super Metroid reference, that the internet can be a cool thing.
No, I agree.
It can be a cool tool with games that we've played before, and because a lot of these retro games, I totally play for nostalgia.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And the internet helps you save a lot of money, so you can actually look at reviews of the game and not buy it based off the cover and the back screenshots of the game, because it probably sucked 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Buying a video game based on the cover didn't usually go as well as it would buying like a music album by the cover. That usually had a better hit ratio. Games, I think the ratio of good games to shit games was really small, actually, when you actually think about it. But
I don't know. I remember buying the album Mortuary just because I loved the zombie cover, and it was total garbage.
I just think that, like you said, that was a really good point. The internet has many good things about it, and a lot of, we don't end up wasting our money. And I love IGN, and I love all these websites, and I love, getting the feedback and not blowing all my money, because like I said, it goes back to us being adults now. We work hard for our money. Our time is more limited. Back in the day, that was our entire lives. Yeah, we went to school, but we just couldn't wait for the school day to end so we could get home and, watch X-Men on Fox Kids and then play Super Mario World or whatever. That was our day, and that was our weekends, So it is a little different. So, like I said, I play a lot of these games just for nostalgia and to relive a part of my life that I miss. And it's, it's a relaxation thing. If I'm playing a modern game, if I were one of these guys that was playing Call of Duty and having these big online parties and I was doing raids in World of Warcraft, that just sounds like work to me. That doesn't sound like I'm relaxing. That sounds like, I have an obligation. I got enough obligations in my life.
Yeah. No.
I want to sit back and I want to play Super Mario World for the 500 millionth time. And I know that game like the back of my hand, and it's so much fun to not have to try.
No, I agree. These are platformer games or anything like that. Something you can just turn your brain off for an hour. Even though, that's why I love all the old retro systems, because you do have your RPGs, you have the tougher games, but then you also have the games that, like we were saying. You really don't have to jump into it too in depth.
Yeah, well, it used to be about the gameplay, and nowadays there's so much setup. You can't just turn on. I'm pretty sure when Call of Duty Advanced Warfare comes out, you're not going to just be able to turn on and jump right into it. There's a giant story there. There's a whole bunch of tutorial stuff. It's a big open world of just, and there's a place for that, sure. But, back in the day, I could get Final Fantasy 2/4 on the Super NES, and even though it's for its time, a pretty grandiose RPG, there's nothing to it. You turn it on, you jump right in. There's just no difficulties about it, and it's very engaging. Anyway, I miss it, and that's why I still play all these games, and that's why we're talking about it. So, but Retro Magazine is very cool, and I'm looking into getting a subscription. I think it's really cool. I think there's 3 different types. You can get digital only. I know you can get digital plus print. I don't know if the third one is just I don't think it's just print.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's newsstand. I think it's newsstand for iOS.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. But if you just want the digital, it's $18 and I think it's available to anybody in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. And it's bi-monthly, so you're getting 6 issues a year. It's reasonable. And the physical, if you want the physical too, I think it was $33 a month.
Yeah, No, it's $33 for a 6-month subscription.
That's what I meant. No, it's a year subscription, but they're bi-monthly.
Yeah, they're bi-monthly.
So you're getting 6 issues for $33. When you break it down, it's probably about $5 and change. Which, if you're going off stand prices, which you can't find this in store stands, I don't believe yet. It's not a bad deal at all, because game magazines are going to cost you $8 to $10 these days.
That's like a Horror Hound subscription, or some of these other niche market magazines. And one thing is, a lot of these people who do play retro games are, I'm sure, collectors, so they're probably going to go for the physical copies, which I am going to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's the whole point of it. Like, I do not read digital magazines.
I don't either.
Webzines. I want to have that magazine. I have all my old magazines when I grew up. I'm a total clutter fiend, man.
Yep.
I've got a big chest full of all those old magazines, and I love it, man. I love going through them every now and again, going through PSM and looking up all these games. The collection of magazines I don't have anymore that I wish I did is I used to have a shit ton of Sega Visions.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It was short-lived, and I remember my best friend when I was like in elementary school gave me all his Sega Visions, and so I got them all like in one big lump sum. And it turned out they were his older brothers, and he got real pissed, and he was like chasing me down the street, like, those are mine. And I kept going. I didn't look back. But yeah, a lot of good times, reading about, the Incredible Hulk on the Sega Genesis coming out, even though it was a pile of shit. Super Street Fighter 2 and all these things. And I don't know. I like it. And if you want quality, which this is quality, there's a lot of people on their roster. I mean, a lot of you modern day age kids out there listening to Pat the NES Punk's on there. He's going to be writing for him. I guess he writes for him, Pat Contry. So, he's extremely knowledgeable as well. And people that have worked for EGM and gosh, who else?
Yeah, there was quite a few. There was some, other people that worked for, I don't know if there was people that worked for GamePro or what, but there are a lot of writers from retro websites and such.
They're all credible, man, and it's really exciting to see that you will be getting something for your money. So hopefully we can score us a few copies, and
I'd love to review them.
Yeah, for sure. But speaking of consoles and retro consoles, I want to talk about the new Retron5.
Oh god.
And it's a love-hate thing with the Retron5. I'm a fan of Retron. I have a Retron 3. The Retron 5 we've been looking forward to for over a year now, at least us.
Yeah. And
it doesn't even seem like the next logical step past Retron 3. It seems like 10 steps ahead of the Retron 3.
Yeah.
But and the system itself, it seems amazing, incredible to be able to reformat our old games to occupy our screen resolutions on our HD TVs, save states, built-in Game Genie. Mm-hmm. You can now play any game with any controller. I can play Rocket Knight Adventures or Sonic the Hedgehog or Atomic Runner with my Super Nintendo controller if I so choose, which is really neat. Like I said, it's on paper, it's the coolest thing in the world. But the company itself, Hyperkin, I get it. They're a smaller company. They're going to have their bumps. But I don't know. They're not doing too well in the way of just like their face in the market.
Oh God, no.
I mean, they don't know how to give updates.
Do us a favor and go on their Facebook page and read the comments of the fans of Hyperkin. They're just irate right now. It's crazy.
I think it was supposed to come out last spring initially. Then I think spring turned to summer. Then summer turned to winter, and then winter turned to spring, and then now we're kind of here. And then it's like, and it's gonna come out guaranteed in the next 30 days. That was like 45 days ago.
Yep.
And the thing is there's no updates along the way. These dates come and then they go, and everybody's like, what the fuck, Hyperkin? Like, what? There's no peep. They get quiet, and then they don't answer you, and all of a sudden you'll get a new release date. And in the case of recently, you also get a price jack.
Yeah, and you got these people that already pre-ordered for $100, and now it goes up to $140.
There's hardcores out there that pre-ordered it day one, which was probably a year and a quarter ago. Insane for the $100. And I'm not dogging the price, because it does a lot. If this thing could really play my Game Boy Advance games, my NES, Master System, Genesis, Super Nintendo, Famicom, Super Famicom, and in HD, and there's a few review videos out there, and it looks really slick. I mean, if it could do all this, it's worth the bump up to 140. It's still worth 140.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that there was no communication there, and a lot of people feel, If the communication was strong enough, I think people would be more understanding about the bump up.
I would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not mad about the bump up because I really want
even
one.
the delays. I mean, they got to keep people updated on why it's actually delayed if they're not just sitting in a fucking warehouse somewhere collecting dust.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a legitimate reason, like, hey, we want to make this the best system possible, so we need to take a few more months. People are going to understand that. But when you just get stood up, basically, I mean, they got a loyal fan base. They're a growing company. You don't want to shit on your loyal fan base.
Well, and they're trying to sell these at they're not. They're selling the product. They're not actually selling. They're selling the Retron5 by saying that it's the best retro system at all these gaming conventions, and they're not giving anybody an ounce of hint of when it's gonna fucking come out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are just gonna forget about it.
Well, and like I said, they got that hardcore fan base. I wouldn't say it's large. They're still building their name. And at the end of the day, like I said, you don't want to shit on your hardcore fan base. And at the end of the day, the product is number one. If you got a killer product, that's the number one. And I think ultimately you can win people over with a great product. But, I mean, you don't want to test it, man. You don't want to test it. Okay, so like let's say they keep procrastinating, there's holdup after holdup. Whether or not they got a killer product, dude, they're just giving somebody else the opportunity to come in and sweep them up competition-wise.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody is going to try to compete with the Retron5 by doing something similar. I mean, I would.
I mean, and I don't know what the holdup is. I mean, did they bite off more than they can chew with the technology? Because like you said, nobody else is really doing it. We have people coming out with $500 NESs, like chrome-plated NESs. Oh,
God, that's ridiculous. One thing I heard about the production of the Retron5, the holdup, was due to shipping problems, was the last thing they said a month ago. But I don't know why it would be in a standstill for a month for shipping problems.
It could be a number of reasons. I mean, like, I don't want to assume it's hardware issues because, like I said, in the last few weeks, we've been seeing some reviews trickle out there where people that have gotten advanced copies of it. So that tells us it's alive. But what I don't understand about their marketing is, or at least their promotion, is the people that are getting these systems.
Yeah,
it blows me away. I mean, and this is no disrespect. I mean, if they can get away and get one of these sweet, little ditties for their own home, more power to them. It's just going to sound like I'm jealous because I'm not, but I just don't understand it. You have like the hip hop gamer, which God bless him, he got one, but you don't understand because he doesn't have like a huge following or any of that stuff, and his production quality is ghetto, but that's kind of his shtick, I guess. And people have dogged him because he's not the most informative guy in the world. Personally, I thought the point got across.
He was entertaining, man. I thought
he was entertaining, and I got to see it in action.
Yeah.
So that was the most important thing. But yeah, he didn't talk about any of the cons. He just was hyping it up, like, oh yeah, this is amazing, this is great, lick my balls. It was great. And then I saw somebody else there, some other no-name website I've never heard about, and they, I guess, got a free copy and they reviewed it. And then Hyperkin posted on their Facebook page like, hey, these guys, such and such gamer, gave it 8 out of 10. Check it out here. And then the link doesn't even work. And it's just, and then
it's embarrassing, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of because it's low level people. And but then I'm hearing through the grapevine that people like the NES punk, these people and I haven't seen on IGN either. I've not seen on the big websites either reviews of this console. But I'm hearing people like NES Punk and maybe even other personalities. Yeah. I don't know about the GameSack, but I heard that Pat Contry, the NES Punk, I heard that he was denied. And so it's like I'm thinking to myself, why have we not seen this system in one of the main publications or with one of these, YouTube personalities that have a massive following.
Yeah.
And that worries me. It's like, why? What are they afraid of?
That's what's going to sell the system. I mean, people go on those websites to hear what they have to say because, I mean, they're so knowledgeable about, their retro video games.
For all I know, man, they're going to these small time guys and they're like, hey, you know what? We'll give you a free system if you give us a good review.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe some of these people are like, yeah, man, they live to sell out for all I know. But you take it to IGN or you even take it to Pat Contry or you give it to AVGN for all I care. They don't have anything really to gain.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a lot of revenue and whatever, and they have a lot of fans. They're not going to spit on that. And they're probably making pretty good income, decent income. So it's like, maybe they're going to be more apt to throw punches and at least give a fair review. Because who knows? On paper, it looks like it does great, but maybe maybe it's faulty. We don't know.
It's buggier than hell. Who knows?
I need to see some credible reviews. I really do. I mean, I really want one, man, but I'm not going to buy one first day. I'm going to wait till they're actually unleashed, and then I'm going to wait for the Amazon reviews to come out. I'm going to wait, I'm going to firmware update, whatever you have, I mean, so I just wanted to address that because we really, really are looking forward to it, and we really do, we would love to play one. We'd love to review one, love to have it and all that stuff. I don't know. I just wanted to ask, what's up, Hyperkin? Why are you so
Give
afraid?
us your feedback on it, too. Just tell us how frustrated you are.
Yeah. And if anybody from Hyperkin's listening, tell us why you're so frustrated. I bet you're frustrated just too. I mean, what's going on? I guess I know it's a business. I know there's a million different angles and facets that are going through a business, and there's a million ways something can be held up. But like I said, no one's sliding anybody for that. It's the communication issues. That's solely it.